In this video, you'll learn how to build dynamic calculations in Power BI and why this is essential for a flexible dashboard. We'll use a slicer with switch and selected value functions to toggle between revenue, cost, and profit in one report. Let's dive in. Let's do this thing because this will take some time. Revenue, how can I make the calculation dynamic, right? So these values will change from revenue to cost and cost to profit. Right now, it's a static calculation. All the visual only shows me revenue, but how can I make it dynamic? There will be a couple of steps, and it will also involve some DAX. What is this object? What is this thing? What do you think?
Are they buttons?
This is not a button, no.
Sliders.
Slicer. This is a slicer.
Slices.
Correct? This is a slicer. Now, whenever you want to put a slicer, you always need a column in the data set to put a slicer, right? With these values. To create a slicer, first we need to create a table. I need to create a table within Power BI with the values of revenue, cost, and profit so I can display it as a slicer. They should always be at the column at the back to display a slicer. So first, step number one, we are going to create a table. So I can put a slicer on the report. Once I put a slicer, then I'm going to use a slicer to create a dynamic calculation. Who remembers? I said we are going to use a function to do it. What function will we use? Nested if. Like what's the function we use instead of nested if?
Selected value, I think, was it?
Selected value, we are going to use selected value, that's for sure, because selected value will allow us to say, if selected value is revenue, then use the formula of revenue. If selected value is cost, then use the formula of cost. If selected value is profit, then use the formula of profit. So we are going to use selected value along with one more function called switch. Switch is like your nested if. You know how nested if can be quite long? So switch allows you to write it easily. It's a sugar-coated nested if. So first we create a table so we can put a slicer. Once a slicer is there, we bring that slicer to life by using DAX. Okay, so let's do step by step. First, we are going to create a table. I would highly encourage you to use the same name of a table and same name of a column. Like don't make a spelling mistake because otherwise your formula and my formula will not look same. So let's make sure we use same terminologies and text. And in the Home tab, I can actually enter data. This gives you a very similar interface like Excel to enter the data. So we are just going to create a table. So click Enter Data. Name of the table, I will call it KPI. That will be the name of the table. Name of the column can also be KPI. So same name of the table, same name of the column. I write revenue, correct? I can go COGS, and then I can go profit. Now this column will allow me to put a slicer here. That's the intention. I can create one more column. Let's create a column for number 1, 2, and 3. That's all. Make sure your name of the table, name of the column matches my name of the table, name of the column, and revenue, COGS, and profit. Make sure you spell them correctly. Once you're happy, just click on load, and this will create a table within the data model. Okay, click on load. It creates a table. Let's have a look at the table. See, here you go. That's your table. When you click on the data view or table view, you can also look at the table, right? Table, column, column, and that's the content of the data. Now that I've created a table, I can put a slicer. I can drag my KPI field and it gives me the values. But this slicer is not active yet, and we are going to make it active by using DAX. How can I make my slicer look like this? What did I do? Do you remember?
Change to tile.
Change this to tile, correct. Slicer settings. From vertical list, I can change it to a tile. I can also turn this thing off, which is not required. I can also turn the background off. I can also drag it up So all of these three values comes in one line. There you go. Okay. So COGS, profit, and revenue.
Ali, I just missed what visual did you use? When
This is
you
a slicer.
Oh, the slicer. Why no, I not? Okay. Yeah, sorry, I'm catching.
So I created a table, and that table allowed me to put a slicer on the screen. But right now, this slicer is inactive. It's of no use. It does not work. So give me a thumbs up if two steps are complete. Then we will write DAX, a really long DAX. I'm going to paste the DAX in the chat. It's very simple in terms of logic, especially if you come from an Excel background. Logically, it's very simple. I'm going to paste the expression in the chat. So first, have a look on my screen. I will create a new measure. Okay, I create a new measure, and I will actually paste the formula from new measure, paste the formula with its values. Okay, so logically, it's very simple. If selected value KPI, if selected value is revenue, correct? Then sum your revenue column, which is, where is it? Here. Make sense? If selected value KPI equals to revenue, if revenue is true, then sum the revenue column. If it's COGS, then use the COGS column. If it's profit, use the profit column. That's all it is. Let me paste this formula for you in the chat too. Copy. If true, then do this. If true, then do this. If true, then do this. Click on tick, and this formula should work. One common mistake that people make when they copy and paste this formula is this. Make sure you don't have measures equals to values equals to. Make sure normally people will have measures equals to values equals to. So remove this measures part because we have already given it a name. Values is the name of the measure. Click on tick. If it does not give you any error, it means it's working. Okay, now have a look on my screen. Although a measure is created, but we have not used this measure anywhere for it to work. How will I use it? I'll show you. See, let's take an example of this line chart. In this line chart, I'm currently using a static revenue column here. And I can simply replace it with values, which will change the calculation based on what slicer I have selected. Right? Have a look on my screen. Instead of revenue, let me actually just put values here so I can show you what I mean. Now see, what is this yellow line? What is this showing you? This is showing you COGS, correct? If I select revenue, it will start to overlap, right? It starts to overlap now. If I select profit, it shows you profit. I go inside the line chart, I can just simply remove revenue. See how your data labels change? Now, because this is a very ideal data set and there is not much visible changes across these KPIs. But in real life data, you will be able to see the change. I just replaced this revenue with values. And you can do the same for this visual, you can do the same for this visual and these visuals. So instead of a static revenue calculation, you can switch between the calculation.
Would you then make that title dynamic as well? Is that just a function?
What total?
Title.
Oh, title. That's a conditional formatting. So we will do that. So see,
Yeah, okay.
she's absolutely right. See how the title is now messed up because this title is coming from the name of the measure itself. We are going to fix it. So I go here in the ribbon chart. Instead of revenue, I can just drop values. I go inside country. Instead of revenue, I replace this with values. I click on this visual. Instead of revenue, I change it with values because instead of revenue, I change it to values. Now this only works if one of the values is selected, right? I have to do, because if you don't select anything, you will see everything vanishes. Try that. Because I'm using selected value. If nothing is selected, everything vanishes. So I have to click on this slicer in slicer settings, selection. I have to force it. I have to make it single select. When you make it single select, you cannot not select it. Like one value will be selected all the time. See all these titles? We're going to fix this. Interesting. Let me show you a little thing with the bookmark that if you are not careful, this will actually cause you some problems. And it took me a very long time to figure out how to fix it. It's a very simple option that is available. So see what is a default behavior of a bookmark. Just have a look on my screen. Let me explain this thing, and then you can just go on and fix it. So remember, we have these buttons which are activating the bookmarks. When we created the bookmark, we did not have any slicer on the page, correct? We did not have any slicer, but now we do have the slicers. So see what happens. When I click on a certain thing and I click on this, but when I select a bookmark, it takes you back to a state where no slicer selection was there. So it resets the slicer. In some instances, you might want this behavior, but in this case, I don't want this behavior. This is the default behavior of a bookmark. Let's do it again. I click on a certain thing, click, click. As soon as I use a bookmark, it takes me back to a stage where no slicer is selected. To fix it, it's very easy to fix it. You click on these three dots, and I just uncheck this data. All it means is ignore the slicer. That's it. Uncheck, and I click on these three dots and uncheck. So make sure you uncheck it for both the bookmarks. Once it is unchecked, it will ignore your slicer selection. Whatever you have remains there, right? It does not influence, it ignores your slicer from bookmarks, basically, this data check.
Hey, Ali, for some reason, on most of my visuals, I've got values by blah, 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 whatever it's supposed to be. But then for one of my visuals, it's got revenue by year, month. Now, I know I put it in manually. How do I get it back to go back to what it was? Because it's not changing it. It's just kept it at revenue as opposed to changing
What
it.
visual is it?
It's the, oh, hang on, maybe I didn't add it in there. It's the one with the line and the.
You sure you have values here?
Just check that on this. Yeah, no, I have values in the y-axis for that one.
You can still override that by clicking on general inside title. See this values?
Yeah.
If you will click reset to default,
the
okay, default is it starts to pick something from what you actually put inside the tab. So just click reset to default. Now I can type anything here, right? If I type Ali, I just say reset to default. It just goes back to values.
Yep, thanks. So that fixed it.
All right. Let me ask one simple question. If I go back, again, this is really a technique that a lot of people use. So let me show you. See how these slicers are grouped inside this box. What is this box? How do I have this box? It's a simple shape. You can just put a shape and it gives you a feeling that things are kind of grouped together. Insert, shape. I put a shape and I just put a shape here. How can I take the shape back? It's a little trick that people use to give an impression that few objects are grouped together. Make sure you move your shape at the bottom. So I have these, right? I have this KPI slicer. I can just call it KPI slicer. I can call it slicer background shape, right? And then I can click, and click, right click, group, slicer, panel.
Sorry, Ali, my bookmarks are still resetting the
slicer.
The slicer, yeah.
Click on these three dots.
Yeah.
And just uncheck the data.
Yeah.
Is it unchecked?
It is now, yeah.
And do it for the second one too.
Done.
Now it should not reset your slices.
Thank you.
All right. So once you have too many panes on the right, make sure you collapse it from time to time so you have more space. Otherwise, your report page will become really small. Okay, looking nice. Okay, let me do a quick little recap of what we did here. First of all, I wanted a table with a column, and column should have values of revenue, profit, and COGS, so I can display a slicer. That's a step number one. Once you have a table, then I can put a slicer. When you have a slicer, you can bring a slicer to life by using DAX. What DAX have we used? We have used selected value plus switch. If selected value is revenue, then do this. If selected value is profit, then do this. If selected value is COGS, then do this. That's all you do. So this allows me to create dynamic calculation, and it is a fantastic way to consolidate multiple reports into a single page.